All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I would like to welcome you to today's FAST-TRAK training lab. My name is Tony. I'm the TRAKnet client trainer, and joining me is Erica. And she is one of our customer care representatives. In this webinar, we'll be covering questions as our clients have when using the TRAKnet program. All users will be in listen-only mode. So if there's any questions, please use the question module on the GoToWebinar box. Our FAST-TRAK training labs are available every other Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and will run for 1.5 hours. We'll be recording the webinar and a copy will be posted on our YouTube page as well as being emailed to all of our registered attendees. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Erica, can you please start us off with our first question?
Yes, one of the first questions that we have here is, can we use more than one template for creating an encounter, or can only many templates be pulled into the encounters?
Okay, it's an excellent question. With the most recent update to TRAKnet, we have added in the ability to use encounter templates when creating an encounter. So we'll go ahead and go to our encounter here. Under the select template type, we can see here that encounter forms has been added, and we can select any of the encounter forms, add those in. All right. And do we have another question, Erica?
Yes, the next question here is, how do I delete allergies?
Okay. For deleting allergies from just the patient, what we're going to do is we're going to click on our medications and allergies on our patient. And then we can just remove them from the list. So I'll have to add one on here because my patient doesn't have an allergy. We click here and we click remove, and that deletes the allergy from the patient. Now, again, with this recent update, we've added a feature which allows us to remove the favorited allergies. So we have this large list of allergies here where we have some duplicates. We have cat dander in here twice. So now with this recent update, we can go to our Properties tab. And on our Properties tab, there's been a category added in called Medical Content. We click Allergies under Medical Content. And we can search that allergy that we want to remove, select it, and remove the allergy from our favorites list. So when we go to add that on the patient chart, that allergy is no longer in the favorites list. So it'll be just the one cat dander instead of the duplicate I had.
Okay, perfect. The next question that we have here is, where should the NDC be entered to get it populated onto the claim?
Okay. Give me one moment. The NDC is populated on the treatment line on the invoice. So when we start an encounter and we put in something such as our L3030, which I know that has a DME code, not an NDC code, but it's good for our example. On our invoice page, we have our treatment line. We can double click it, or we can click our little pencil over here, which is going to bring up our treatment editor window. On that treatment editor window, we're going to go to our claim detail screen. And on the claim detail screen, we can enter in our NDC code, any quantity information, any medication units, and then also the same with the DME code, the rental price, and the billing frequency. Now that is on a per encounter basis. So if you have an item that always has the same NDC code, you're always going to use the same item, You can come under Properties and go to Treatments and look up that treatment under Properties. Double click on that. It's going to bring up a treatment editor window here. This treatment editor window will set the defaults for this treatment anytime it's added to an encounter. So when we hit the claim details here, we'll have a couple less items because we won't have the ordering provider, and we're not going to have the setting for the electronic claims. But we can set any default durable medical equipment codes or NDC codes here. So these will always populate to that treatment code if they're entered in here on the properties screen.
Okay, the next question that we have here is a pretty good one here. Could you go over setting up the action items on the collections module?
Okay, yeah, I certainly can. For our collections module, there's a number of items which need to be set up to utilize it to its fullest potential. So there's going to be a collection rule, a collection method, and a collection letter. So we're going to go to our properties page. And on the properties page, we can see here we have 3 collection items. We have our collection agencies. For these, we're just simply adding in a collection agency. You'd want to put in as much information as you have for when a practice is using. In this instance, we're just going to put in the name, which is the minimum required. We would then want to set up our collections letters. The collections letters are basically just a letter that you're going to use to send out when you're performing a specific collection action. So in this one, we'll name it our 90-day notice. For the collections letter, we can add in links very similar to what we would do in an encounter. So we can add in our patient name link. Add in our patient balance. And then once we're done, we just go ahead and click Save. And that saves that letter for use with your collection rules. The last item is our collection rules themselves. And they're basically the rule that determines what collection action is going to be taken on the patient at that time. So in this case, we're doing a 90-day rule. We're going to use our collection method of letter. And we'll use our 90-day collection letter that we just created. We want to set our remit to who they're going to be making the payments to, which is going to be the location, either your office location or your billing, depending on where you want those payments to be paid to. You want to set the number of days past due, number of days since they last made a payment, and number of days since their last statement. If you have any minimum balances that you like to work with, maybe you don't want to do any collections on someone who has a balance less than $10. So we put in a $10 minimum balance. And then we would list the number of days before we want to follow up with it. And then you also have the option of listing who should follow up with the patient when the follow-up time comes. And we click Save, and that saves that collection rule. Now when we go over to our collections module, we can select our 90-day rule. It'll set all of our settings for us and look for any patients that meet that rule's requirements. So in my database, I don't have any patients that are currently 90 days past due, so I don't have anything showing up. You can also utilize the collections module not using a rule. So if you have letters set up, you can choose your letter that you want to send out, and then set your specific settings for that instance. However, the rules are going to automatically set those for you, which is going to make it a lot quicker to use the collections module and a lot more standardized. Yeah, a lot more standardized. So you'll be able to do like a 30-day, a 60-day, 90-day notice, and that way when you select those rules, it populates all the requirements for it and it is standardized for your collections.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tony. The next question that's coming here is how do I create a past surgical history in the new patient encounter?
How do you create the past surgical history in a new patient encounter?
Yes.
So we're making a new patient encounter. We'll use my soap template here. No, my soap template already has one. We'll try another template here. Nope. All right. This one does not specifically have a past surgical history link in it, so we'll use this one. If we want to add a past surgical history link just to this encounter, we could simply put in the identifier in a little header to let us know what it is. Go to our patient data and put in our past surgical history. Now, once we have that link in there, we can click the link and add in any past surgical history information we need to have. Click Save, and that adds that into the encounter. Now, this is only effective if you wanted to do it just at one time. If you want to change the template where we're going forward, it's going to be there every time when we're going forward. We're going to click on our Actions button, go to Edit Document Template, and then we can add that right into the document template. Now going forward, that'll be in the document template. So if we click Start New Visit, we can see where it pulls that past surgical history in, and we can again click on that link to modify that past surgical history for that patient. And then when we go out to our patient, that surgical history is saved to the patient. So the patient's information will be pulled into the note if it's entered in there, and if it's entered directly into the note like that, it'll add it to the patient's chart.
Okay, perfect. And then a question also came in regarding the collection letter. It's asking, does it auto send the collection letter, or do you have to go in and send to each patient once it's populated?
Okay, that's a great question. When you come to the collections module and you set up your rule, you'll get a listing of patients here that'll have check boxes next to them in the Apply Print section. When you check off those patients that you're going to place into collections and you click Apply, it's going to apply that collections rule. If that collections rule is to send out a letter, it is going to print that letter for each one of those patients. If the collections rule were to say send a statement, which there's statements in there, or to do a phone call, it would work accordingly. So if it's for sending a statement, it would print out a statement for those patients. If it's a phone call, it would mark in there that you need to make a phone call. So it's going to perform the action that you have selected in the collection method when you click the Apply button for the selected patients.
Okay, and is there an inventory tool?
Not currently. There's not currently an inventory tool in TRAKnet 3.0.
All right, Thank you, Tony. And the next question here is, how do I get patient education added onto the patient engagement list to be sent out to the portal?
Okay. The items sent out to the portal are going to be based on what you place on your patient summary. The links that add automatically, and this patient does not have any diagnosis, let me give him one. Okay. All right. The links that we're going to see here are automatically added in by TRAKnet. If you would like to add additional patient education items, you'd want to add in templates to your patient education template category, and then you can select them like doing a mini template in an encounter. So right now I have the hypertension mini template in there for hypertension, and that adds in that education item that I have in there. If you wanted to do hyperlinks to a different website, you would have to type those hyperlinks into the summary, and that would be sent over. So any information you add into the summary is going to be sent over, but anything that's not the Medline Plus links has to be manually added, either from the patient education templates or typed into the summary.
All right, thank you, Tony. The next question I'm seeing here is, can you show me how to change the date on the super bill? With a new update, we can't seem to edit our super bills prior to printing.
Okay, are you talking about the batch print super bills for the scheduler, or the super
I'm
bill specific to the patient?
I'm going to speak with uh, it looks patient, she says. So patient specific super bills.
Okay, and by the date, we're talking about this date here. That should be, let me check that template.
Yes, she says.
Okay, in this case, that is a visit date on that super bill. To be able to change the date, we would want to go with just a regular date link, and we should be able to change that date. The visit date's going to be set according to the patient information. The date link itself is a link that requires entering into the date. And that definitely is not working either. We'll have to get that reported over that those dates cannot be changed. But that is how you would change the date. We'll get that reported over as far as not being able to change those dates.
Okay, perfect. And another user had the same question with the super bills, with the batch print super bills too. So we can report those together there.
The batch print super bill does the dates a little bit different. This batch print's going to be pulling for a whole batch according to the date.
Mm-hmm.
For a batch print super bill, you're not able to change the dates.
Okay.
It looks like mine's not coming up right at the moment, so I can't pull it up.
Okay. We can have our white glove service reach out to them and they'll be able to talk offline. in regards to that to see what's going on. The next question that is showing here is some of our older patients have a really long list of multimedia folders and the newer patients have a shortened list. How do I get the older patients to have a short list like the newer patients?
Okay, with multimedia folders, those are created on the patient and they're not automatically removed over time. With those older patients, the only thing you would be able to do is to manually delete the multimedia folders. So you can come in, right-click on the folder and click delete, and that'll delete the folder. However, TRAKnet will not automatically remove those folders for you. They have to be deleted one at a time on the patient that you want to remove from.
Okay, perfect. And on the dashboard, there is a line item that says allowed phone contacts. Is there a spot in the demographics where that is going to populate from?
Yes.
All right. If you mark it to send statements, does it send them electronically or just print them out?
On the demographics for send statements here,
I'm not sure if she's speaking of, let me see if she has responded again, in the collections tools.
in the collections tool, it's going to just print those out. It does not send those out electronically. The only way that TRAKnet is going to send out statements electronically is if you have integrated statements with Demandforce. And for those, you have to go to the statements screen of the billing dashboard and export your statements. And that'll export them right over to Gateway. I think I had said Demandforce previously. I apologize. It's Gateway.
Okay. Will there be an alert in TRAKnet when an appointment request comes in from the portal?
No, there's currently not an alert in TRAKnet when an appointment request comes in for the portal. For that, the office would want to check the admin part of the patient portal periodically to see if there are any of those appointment requests coming in.
Okay. And the encounters are not closing on the invoice screen. The save and close button does not work. I can have someone to reach out because that should no longer be an issue for sure. Let's see. The next question is, where is the time clock report?
Okay, your time clock report is found under Tools in Time Clock. We have two options. We have the Time Clock Management, which allows you to manage the time clock, and the My Time Clock report.
Okay. How can we add a reason for the missed canceled appointment? When I check cancel, it disappears.
Okay, when you cancel an appointment that has already passed, it's going to disappear from your scheduler. If you check your Appointments tab, it's not the right one. I apologize. Give me a moment to locate that patient. When we cancel the appointment, it'll show on the Appointments tab for that patient. we have to click the Show Canceled and Deleted, and it shows all canceled or deleted appointments. Any comments you add in will show here. So that would be how you would see those comments, is right on the patient in the Appointments tab.
Okay, sounds good. And the next question here is, has there been any improvements to the task list? I had issues with due dates and titling the type of task.
Okay, well, with the task itself, you can definitely change the title. And they should be, the title should be remaining when you're adding them in. And then we can assign them to a user. The only real changes that have been made for the task list currently is to make sure that they hold their title when they're assigned. And then that they go, you only see the ones that are for you when you add them in. So when you would go to the task list, you're going to bring the task list up by clicking Select, and then you can see the task with the title that's assigned to it. Now there are going to be some additional changes in the next upcoming update, which will change the task list even further, but currently the task list still performs the same functions. The major changes are that we've made sure that it does keep its titles, and that we have the My Tasks section added. So by default, users will only see their tasks rather than everyone's tasks. All right, next
Okay.
question.
All right, thank you. What happened to the spell check? I can't add words to the dictionary.
Okay, we have had reported that spell check is not functioning currently. That has been submitted as a bug, and the developers are currently working on getting that pulled through.
Okay. The next question here is, will they ever allow us to access the appointment from the patient's chart so we can modify or view the history?
Okay, I wouldn't be able to speak for being able to modify or view history straight from the patient's chart. I don't know of any plans to change that at this time. So I do apologize. I really wouldn't be able to say as far as if they are going to be doing anything of that nature. My suggestion with that would be sending that into suggestions. That goes over to our development team. They'll be able to place that in the list of items that clients would like to see. All right, we are just about to the end of our time, so we do want to wrap up. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone, for attending. We have some resources that we can review on our TRAKnet YouTube page. This webinar will be there. We also have a large number of videos for both new client and the experienced client. And we also have our TRAKnet wiki page, which covers all parts of TRAKnet. And we also have a coming soon page on the TRAKnet wiki page, which shows all of the items that we're going to be bringing in the next updates. And thank you, everyone, for coming in. Any questions that were not answered during today's training will be reached out to by our client success team. And then we'll have our next FAST-TRAK training lab in 2 weeks. So please do register for that. And thank you, everyone, for coming in today.